What's up, chumps? Jay Enterprise here. It is movie review time. I am not a professional critic. I'm just someone who loves movies and loves talking about them. I'm not going to be giving out any letter grades or star ratings. See it for yourself and be your own judge. Let's go back now to 1992's Batman Returns. Batman review number 3 as we head towards the world premiere, the release of the long-awaited, much-anticipated Justice League. Are you excited for that movie?
A little.
Just a little?
Yeah.
Okay, Zach.
Very, very little. I hate Batman. I'm just here because I love Batman, though. So Batman Returns, as we were talking before rolling, was interesting in terms of the plot, where the best way to describe it, even though I feel like I've seen this movie 18 times minimum, is it's just more so about the villains. It was the movie that just seems, whoever made the call, was it Warner Brothers? Right? Yeah, they just went like, we want villains, I guess. Yeah. Even, you know, you have more than just Catwoman and Penguin in the film. There's also Maximus Shrek and Christopher Walken. But essentially it's a movie where you kind of think like, what is going on with Batman? And other than stopping villains, he doesn't have anything really personally going on with himself. He just kind of keeps popping up to stop them. It's essentially...
His only like personal subplot involves one of the villains.
It's essentially a Catwoman origin, because they show her from Selena Kyle to her transition, and then Penguin's story about trying to take over Gotham, becoming the mayor and steal a bunch of kids. Yeah. So essentially that's really what it is. Batman doesn't have an exact story or, you know, internal issue going on. He's just there. He keeps popping up.
If Batman hadn't stopped Penguin, do you think he would have eventually ascended to the presidency?
No.
Why not?
That would have been Harvey Dent.
Oh.
Because he's also Lando Calrissian.
Is Harvey in Returns? I don't remember. Is he?
Yep. Harvey Dent is Billy Dee Williams.
I know that, but I remember him from the first movie. I just watched this like last week.
He's on Returns.
Aha!
He's the number 1.
Aha!
I thought he was in Returns.
That's why I couldn't remember.
He was supposed to be in Returns.
And it's the same mayor.
Yes.
The same actor, too.
No, it's supposed to... There was talks that you were going to get Harvey in this movie, potentially, which apparently, if I remember correctly, Billy Dee Williams was super static about, and then they didn't do it. There was rumors, I think he might have been Two-Face in the third one, but I know there was discussion whether it was this one or the third one that they were going to do Two-Face, but everything changed because obviously Burton was gone and everything kind of shifted, but that's why I was thinking Billy Dee Williams was in this one.
And this is a weird movie.
It's odd.
It's weird. Like,
but it's so good.
It retains the same dark...
darker than the first one.
Oh yeah, dark, psychologically darker.
Yeah.
But the whole look of Gotham City was retained, which is something I mentioned in the previous review. If you haven't watched it, check it out.
Yeah,
it's a doozy. I love Burton's vision of Gotham, and he retained that vision for the sequel. But it's just weird. I remember I wasn't allowed to watch this movie when I was young.
Oh no,
I was. It was like too.
Like my parents just let me watch.
My parents grew up in like a very conservative household. It was just like, it seemed like whenever my parents were made aware of this movie, whether it was like at the video store to be playing or at a store or commercial on TV, it was always some like freaky Penguin scene or like Michelle Pfeiffer being overly sexual, and they're like, you're not watching this. But I love Batman. No, it took me a while to actually see this movie.
This movie was dark, in my opinion, a lot darker in ways than the first one. Yeah. I mean, even the elements of like, he's fighting a bunch of creepy clowns. And then you have Michelle Pfeiffer, who, I mean, at one point legit starts to get eaten by cats, which is really weird that they're just chewing on her fingers. And her whole scene where she's smashing up her place and she's tearing into dolls, it's freaky at that age. And again, she basically dressed up as a dominatrix. One oversight, I think, at least for me, until I went back and over the years watched it, is Penguin is for some reason a like sex fiend. He's insane about coming onto Selena Kyle. Yeah. He makes a ton of like innuendos. There's even the scene when he talks about sticking a pin on one of his interns at the office when she puts the pin on him. And he talks about, I think, sticking something, like, they never talk about why, but at one point he lays himself across a bed for Catwoman, like,
the whole scene where him and Catwoman starts, conniving and colluding a plan, it's the scene with the bird.
Yeah.
And he threatens to stab the cat, and she eats the bird, and there's a lot of, really creepy, uncomfortable innuendo.
A lot.
And it's a lot, not just innuendo, there's some straightforward, oh, that's what they're talking about.
But go back and watch a scene where Penguin talks about the pin with the office lady, and the way he looks at her is just complete. His eyes just dart in like they're going crossed. That's weird. The weirdest scene in the movie, and just the Paul Rubin in the beginning was so random. Yeah. But the fact that I was haunted, still am, by the scene where he pulls a cat as a young age into it's insane.
I don't like cats. This is material for a whole other video, but cats get no respect in Hollywood. No respect. They're always the butt of the jokes. They're always dying. Dogs are in the same boat as children. Nothing ever happens to them. Nothing. They never die. And I totally forgot about that scene. Most of the time, most of my viewings for Batman Returns over the past couple years have been on TV. It's one of those movies. It's on TV. Gotta watch it. And in those situations, you never see the beginning, and they take out a lot of scenes too. I did not remember the whole Penguin being born scene, and the rich snotty parents drinking their drinks, and he's in his cage and he pulls the cat in, and then
he lures the cat.
He lures the cat into the cage,
and they have zero emotion.
God knows
Paul
what
Rubens,
he does.
I believe, is looking out a window, hears the sound, and literally does this, as if oh my god, the cat's, and then they throw him in the river.
I do not remember any of that, and I was like, oh, this is pretty messed up.
Yeah, and Batman gets a little freaking weird in this one too, because at one scene he takes a bomb that originally was intended for him, straps it to a clown, smiles at him, and then throws him down a sewer, and then you hear an explosion go off, and Batman smiles before he kills this dude.
And that's the origin for the famous meme.
Yes.
Right before he punches him or kicks him, he does he rears back, and Keaton does this weird face that people have immortalized on the internet now.
But I mean, all in all, though, I love that movie. One little thing that always freaked me out as a kid was even at the end when Christopher Walken's burnt body is uncovered. As a kid, that frightened me. This movie took it up another level from the first one. But to me, very good movie nonetheless. It may have its flaws, but whatever. I loved it.
What kills Penguin? What does he die of? Is it the fall? I remember. I had a Batman Returns a coloring book, but it wasn't a coloring book in the traditional sense. It was paint. And it was the basic plot of the movie, and I saw that and had that before.
You had to give him green blood.
I saw the movie. No, I was very liberal with the blood use.
Penguin's ink blood.
But the way this coloring book was written, it made it seem like Penguin was blown up by his own. Yeah, the missiles on the back of the Penguin.
But yeah, essentially, I think it's just the trauma of it. You can tell he's got internal bleeding because whatever that stuff is, it's coming out of his nose and his mouth.
What is with that? That always freaked me out.
Well, that leads you to believe.
It almost looks like it's like chew.
Yeah, I mean, it leads you to. I take that as in somebody who's got insane internal damage and they'd be coughing up blood.
But he was doing that earlier in the movie too. This stuff would come out.
He had some salivating, but towards the end it was just
goop
flowing.
Okay.
So I would think whatever ruptured in there. Not that we're overthinking this.
Oh, but totally are.
Whatever ruptured in there or something. It's not a little bit. He's just taking his last breath.
And it's internal hemorrhaging.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be a dramatic death because he's also a dramatic character that for as messed up as he is,
a very tragic character.
You kind of feel bad for him. Yeah. Even though him killing the cat, I was like, he could have got his head cut off and I wouldn't have cared. Yeah. But essentially, he is a sad character, and so was Selena Kyle. If you really think about it. Yeah. Overlooked, underappreciated, murdered. And then just loses it. You see, she goes alone. She goes home. She's alone. Yeah. She's got nothing.
It's a pathetic life.
Yeah, they're pathetic people, and so you but those are the best villains when you kind of feel for them. Yeah. Or relate to them on some weird level.
Why are there penguins in the sewer?
Because that's Penguin's lair.
Yeah, but why are they there? Where'd they come from? You hear about rats crocodiles and alligators, maybe like penguins in the sewer. How do they survive down there?
What's Danny DeVito's character's name in It's Always Sunny?
I was about to say he's the penguin.
Yeah.
Frank Reynolds.
Okay. If he had 50 penguins in the sewer, I don't think you would doubt that character.
I wouldn't question that.
Right. So I don't know if you can question, like, you know, Danny DeVito just getting a bunch of penguins somehow together.
Okay.
But I guess from a character perspective...
that's just the adult in me overthinking everything.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a villain who needs a place to go.
He needs penguins, obviously, because he's
God forbid he should just give his guys a bunch of guns to blow people up or whatever, shoot. He figures, well, the best thing to do is take time to train penguins, build little missiles, and, you know, not like, I guess, just create a bomb. No. You know, you've got basically a transportation device, this big duck. You could just probably strap that with a bunch of, you know, dynamite and you're good to go. But I guess he figures it needs to be dramatic.
What are the budgets for these supervillains? I mean, you have to train penguins, you have to pay your human thugs.
If they're being paid, who knows? Maybe they're just promised stuff.
I don't know, man. Yeah. You need your rubber ducky boat. You got to have all your golf bag of handy dandy umbrellas and stuff.
And the thugs too have very intricate costumes. And let's not forget, like, their way of getting around town stealing the babies was a train that somehow got around in the streets. So they were onto a piece of transportation that I don't think has ever existed before. I'm pretty sure they were driving around in a train with cages that were able to get around. So they figured out some really intricate, even the money to build the Batmobile inside for Penguin to...
Yeah, that's like a lot of work.
Scene. A lot of work. And the thugs don't look smart, so those clowns they were onto something.
But those villains, they have good seamstresses.
They do.
Very good.
They do. And that scene in itself, I can go on a tangent about that, is iconic to me.
Which one?
The scene where Penguin is via satellite
in the Batmobile?
In his own Batmobile.
That's one of the scenes that my parents would always see because Penguin is terrifying in that scene.
He's
going nuts and he's got the shit coming out of his mouth. He's going nuts and my parents are like, "You're not watching this movie."
But the way that scene starts is hilarious. Is Batman's cruising around Gotham just 10 miles an hour. You know, I'm pretty sure that's how it starts. He's just kind of cutting corners. Yeah. You know, like he's a cop. You know, like that's okay. You know, apparently in between films, cops now trust him, I guess. You know, I'm pretty sure that scene starts with him just cruising along. You see snow kicking up. And then, you know, he can just park anywhere. And they just know that's Batman.
He's got a pass.
Yeah. But that whole thing, it's like where Penguin controls it. And then I love it when he punches through his floor. Yeah. He finds it, he's got to get away from the cops now, and he cuts off the sides of the Batmobile, goes up the building, or something like that. It was tremendous.
He goes through
a narrow
My
alley.
good friend, he had the Batmobile toy, but it was the Batman Returns version. So, you know, you're driving around, you push a button, the sides fly off.
I think
like, how many times we use that in our action figure games? Like, oh no, and push the button. Is this a Christmas movie?
Yeah, I say that like kind of like yeah, but no. I'm a huge Christmas fan, so I love Christmas movies and I like unorthodox ones. So I can watch this I could get in the Christmas feel by watching this because it is very obviously holiday centric.
I think the best part of this movie is probably the casting. I think Danny DeVito was the absolute best choice for the Penguin. Just phenomenal performance. Yeah. Christopher Walken is great in everything he does. And Michelle Pfeiffer is just sex personified in this movie.
Stature-wise, DeVito was perfect. His suit was weird. It would look like when you just stuff a bunch of pillows inside a blanket and just tie it around your neck, I guess. It was kind of odd looking. You know, anytime I see a out-of-shape pro wrestler in essentially a onesie, first thing I think about is Danny DeVito when he kind of strips down and there's just weird body mass of fat just hanging out down to his ankles, essentially. Kind of built like the Boogeyman, the Oogie Boogeyman from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Never saw it.
Okay.
Never saw it.
That is essentially, if you've seen it, you know what I mean, and I'm sure everybody's seen it. If you haven't seen it, you have no soul. No. But that essentially is built like, but yeah, the one scene too that I think about is when Batman's going down the sewer tunnels and he sees his first penguin, which I believe also has a rocket strapped to him. Yeah. And obviously he can't turn his head because the cowl is connected. And he does a quick turn and then looks forward. And you see Batman register like, oh, I just saw a penguin with a bomb. And these are kamikaze penguins. They're about to die.
I think the Michael Keaton Batman look might be my favorite. It's a toss-up between that and Ben Affleck. I just love the look. I actually like the fact that he couldn't turn his head, and he had that almost like full body turn. And one thing, and we'll touch on this more once we get to the Nolan trilogy, is movies can never really seem to get the cape, I don't want to say right, but they never seem to get it close to what it is in the comics, because of the comics it's kind of unrealistic, because in the comics it's this giant like circus tent of a thing. But I love, my favorite Batman, I guess, visual is whenever he has the cape like draped over his shoulders, so you don't even see he looks like, I don't know, like just like a ghost almost. Yeah. He's just got the cape draped over, and Keaton's costume always retained that look because the cape was always draped over. And I love the jet black look, great cowl, great ears. They really, really nailed Batman's look
they did
in Burton's films.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes the Burton portion of our Bat reviews / Bat discussions, I guess.
On to Schumacher, which can either be 30 seconds or 30 hours, depending on how you want to talk about it.
So much to talk about.
Yeah. Not looking forward to it, but that's how it is.
Speaking of you, where can all my whopping 37 subscribers find you on social media?
The internet. Opa _ like it's going to be right here with my fingers or not. Nikos Rikos, Nikos Rikos. Just type my name in. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace. I don't have that one.
LinkedIn?
No. Maybe Monster? No, Monster. I never did that. I've never had to worry about a job.
Well, I'm only going to put Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter in the description box.
That's cool.
If you were entertained by this video, I hope you find your way to the like and subscribe buttons. We'll see you for 95's Batman Forever.
Oof.